Alright, welcome to WILLSTAR Monsters and Mysteries. Today I have 2 viewers have emailed me their encounters. And if you watch to the end, I have a bonus newspaper article from Visalia, California, 1873. And one quick but important thing. The artwork of the creature you're going to see in the story from Mississippi is provided by amazing artist Sybilla Irwin. I'm sure a lot of people know who she is already. But if you don't, I'm going to go ahead and leave a link for her channel and access to her amazing art. If you have an account that you would like to share, please feel free to email me at willstarbigfoot@aol.com. As always, if you guys like the video, make sure you hit that like button for me. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. And share the video on social media. That definitely helps. Alright, enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into these accounts. On July 1st, 2011, my life changed forever. I have been an avid deer hunter my whole life. I have seen and heard strange things in the woods before. When I was 12 years old, I came face to face with a black panther, and the only regret I have is I couldn't get a clear shot at it. I remember the first time I heard a fox bark, it scared the heck out of me. Many years went by before I knew what that awful noise was. All the strange things that I have seen and heard could be explained. This day changed me though. Let me set the groundwork for my story. I was in a loveless marriage, and my only peace was found in my time alone in the woods. In April of 2011, an F5 tornado had destroyed the town of Smithfield, Mississippi. Along with most of my friends and neighbors, I had volunteered to help with cleanup after the tornado. While doing this, I met up with a woman I had dated in high school. She was in a very abusive marriage. After that, we began meeting and talking. Fast forward to July 1st. I was on my way back from Tupelo after withdrawing money from my credit union for my house payment. I received a call from her. She was really upset. She had gotten into a big argument with her husband and wanted to talk. She asked me if I had plans for the day, and I was off due to the 4th of July holiday. Being July, I had plans to hang deer stands, and that's what I told her. She begged me to go, and I said yes. Where I hunt is on timber company land and about 2 miles from the public road. We drove very slowly down the logging road to get to my hunting spot. I parked my truck in an old logging camp and we sat in the cab talking with the air conditioning running. Being July, it was very hot and humid and I had a cooler with a 6-pack of cold beer in it. The area I hunt is south of Tremont, Mississippi, in sight of the old fire tower. It is very rough country, full of hills and hollows, with plenty of rattlesnakes and ticks also. I could tell that she did not really want to follow me through all of this. So I suggested we drink a beer and sit on my tailgate listening to the truck radio. Before I knew what was happening, we were kissing. We kissed for a while. Things progressed. Yada, yada, yada. The next thing I know, we were laying in the back of my truck afterwards, naked back to back. She was talking and I was just laying there feeling guilty about what we had done. As I was laying there thinking, I was just staring into the woods. That is when it happened. It just appeared right at the edge of the clearing. The creature was about 7 feet tall. It was nothing like the Sasquatch you see on TV. It wasn't built like an NFL lineman. It was more like a basketball player, very tall and muscular. It was covered with long black shiny hair. I will never forget that it had a small square that was as white as snow on its stomach. Its mouth was closed so I could not see its teeth, but his eyes and face looked very human. His face looked as if he was in deep thought. I just laid there looking at this thing trying to come up with a plan. She was still talking. I guess since she was not getting any answer from me, she poked me in the back and said, "Are you listening to me?" About that time, she saw the creature for the first time. She let out the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard. "We have got to go," I told her. We barreled out of the back of my truck and grabbed our clothes and got in my truck. I started the truck and we left as fast as we could go. I kept checking my rearview mirror to make sure he was not following us. I drove out to the public road where we stopped and got dressed. We both just broke down and cried. I guess it was an emotional letdown from being so scared. It was there she discovered she had dropped her bra and panties. She begged to go back to get them, but there was no way I was going in there even though I had left a Summit tree stand laying there. I drove back to Fulton where we stopped at a small country store to get a Coca-Cola and just to talk about what just had happened. That was where I discovered my billfold was missing. I had to go back. I had over $2,000 in it, my house payment. As I had said, I was originally going to hang deer stands, so I had my tourist judge. I reloaded my pistol with .45 long Colt ammo. We headed back to the spot. The ground was torn up from our hasty departure. I looked around for my billfold while she looked for her underwear. Neither were to be found. I tossed the tree stand into the back of my truck. It landed in the back of my truck with a bang. For whatever reason, I looked up and about 10 feet off the ground hung her bra. I started to toss rocks and sticks to knock it down. It was unnatural how quiet the woods were, when all of a sudden, the loudest, most menacing sounding growl came from the hollow below. As I looked in the direction of the growl, I could see a pine tree maybe 30 or 40 feet tall was rocking violently back and forth. It was time to get out of there. After returning to town, I looked in the floorboard of my truck and there was my billfold. We never did find her panties. The creature was about 7 feet tall, and I am no good at guessing weight, but I would say between 300 and 500 pounds. It was black, dark black, like a mink. Apart from the white square, it was all black. Its face was human, but a very ugly human. It did look like it was lost in thought when I first saw it. I could not believe how well groomed its hair looked. I smelled no odor, and he approached in total silence. As I stated earlier, an F5 tornado had just passed slightly south of my location. It cut a mile-wide path through the woods, and I think this displaced a lot of animals. Until that day, I never believed in Bigfoot or really even gave it much thought. Now I do not go into the woods without my rifle or shotgun. In a follow-up email, Mark adds these pertinent details that I think you might enjoy. The distance was about 30 yards more or less. The time was about 1 p.m. I could only see the upper half of his body. I saw his stomach first. Actually, I saw the white spot first, then focused on the rest of him. It was a surreal moment. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. He was standing by a young pine tree, maybe 15 or 20 feet tall. His left hand was pushing a small limb down so he could see over it. I almost think he thought he was hidden from me because of the limb. He was standing erect. His right arm was hanging by his side. I really don't remember about the hair length, because once I saw that horrible face, that is what I focused on. It was like looking down the barrel of a gun. All you could see is the muzzle. His skin was dark, and his face was human, but very ugly. I guess I would describe it like a cross between an ancient human and a monster. I get chills as I write this just thinking about that ugly face. He really did look like he was lost in thought. At the time, I thought he was formulating a plan to be able to get to both of us, but now I don't think he meant us any harm. I wish I'd never laid eyes on him. My life has changed forever. I used to love the woods, but now I hear a strange noise or a limb break and I am ready to leave. Until this encounter, my only thought about Bigfoot was when I watched The Legend of Boggy Creek when I was in junior high. I have hunted in the hills and hunted the Tombigbee River bottom and never saw anything like this before. Eric from Indiana. I have a few of these creatures around here back in the woods, and I've seen them cross the road in midday down by the bridge. They've watched us here for years. My son used to talk about a hairy man from the woods staring at him in the kitchen window when he was about 2 or 3 years old. I didn't think anything of it because I had never seen anything myself. But we had weird stuff happen all the time. Someone would go around the house slapping the siding, then running off. Sometimes they would grab the doorknob and jiggle it. It would almost never happen when I was at home. For years I thought it was a neighbor. I'd even take days off work, pack my ghillie suit and a Remington 700 in my trunk, act like I'm going to work, park my car at work, have my dad drive me about a mile from my home, and I'd get out and make my way home and set up a hide site overlooking my house, not even telling my family I'm doing so. And I'd watch for whoever to come and mess with my family, and I was going to end them. But nothing ever happened. I had night vision, binoculars, and a very nice 24x50 scope, and never seen or heard a thing. And as a LRRP, I'm extremely stealthy and quiet. Looking back now, I see our prankster was probably a juvenile Sasquatch. But I didn't believe in Sasquatch back then, at least here in Indiana. A few years later, I had an experience with one in the backyard. I never got a good look at it, but it wanted me to go in the house. So I did, and came out with a 12-gauge shotgun. And I went back to reloading ammo for the gun shoot I was planning the next day. It got pissed and tossed my mower deck around and yelled and threw a fit. I could barely see glimpses of it, so I sent a slug right over its head and said, "Big boy, you ain't running me inside. I live here and I do what I want. This is my home, not yours. You come in here acting violent, I'll blow your damn head off. I missed you on purpose. I can just as easily hit you if I want." It calmed down. I finished reloading for the weekend. I finished reloading while it watched me. I could feel his presence. Then I went inside and went to bed and got ready for my shoot for the weekend. Then one night I caught my prowler. The abbreviated version, I was in a car, just pulled in from work. I was listening to the radio. Saw a big guy running down the road very fast into my yard behind a huge sycamore tree. I get out and it does like what I know now is mind speak to me, saying, "Stay out or it will hurt me." I am a very big man, 6'5", 350-pound powerlifter. So I'm thinking whatever and keep going. This happens a few more times as I head to the tree. Once I'm to the tree, the voice in my head is freaking out and saying it is going to kill me. I'm thinking to myself, go for it. Then I get another thought that maybe he's got a gun. So I turn and go to the house, dropped off my lunch bag and picked up my Saiga 12-gauge shotgun and went and cleared the front yard. I started to go around the house and hear running, so I'm on it. I switch on my weapons light just in time to see it run and jump behind a downed tree. I close in on it, giving it commands. It just peeps over the tree at me thinking I don't see it. I walk right up to him about 10 feet away, point my 12 gauge right at its head and say, "If you don't get up, I'll blow your head right off." Things are definitely not adding up, but adrenaline is high and I'm in fight mode. I'm asking him questions and no answers. Then I'm putting it together. I light up his face and realize this ain't no big dude. I say, "Buddy, this is my house. You can't be here. You can live in those woods, but stay away from my house and my family. If you ever scare them or hurt them, I will hunt you down and kill you and everyone that looks like you." That's when I found out they were for real. And by God, we got them here in southeastern Indiana. Ohio DNR outright owns that the Bigfoots exist. They've had them for years and years. Who knows why this is not known to the public? The rest of my encounters have been mild curiosity on both of our parts, but I don't think it's wise to ever let your guard down. They are too damn big.